Today's guest is someone that comes highly recommended to us from Sarah Louise. She proves that Aussie talent can absolutely take on the world. She's a country pop powerhouse who's performed for Barack Obama, Oprah Winfrey, Ella DeGeneres, and even the Pope in Rome. She started singing before she could even talk, has been playing piano since she was 2, and during lockdown decided to ramp it up and learn guitar because apparently mastering one instrument just wasn't enough. From the Australian Girls Choir to cruise ships, Tamworth stages, Nashville songwriting rooms, and #1 chart hits, she's built one seriously impressive career. She's taken home awards for Best Female Vocalist, debuted songs at #1, built a global community she doesn't even call fans, she calls them friends, and she's proof that country music is about so much more than getting drunk in a truck with your dog. She's a singer, songwriter, performer, emotional support human for Heartbreak Playlist, and one of the hardest working women in Aussie country music right now. Please welcome the incredibly talented, ridiculously lovely friend that every girl needs, Cassidy Ray.
Holy moly. Let me just to carve out this door so I can walk through it because, oh my goodness.
So I was doing a little bit of research when Sarah Louise did say, hey, check out this girl, Cassidy Ray. Do you ever get asked, oh, I know that name. Are you an actress?
A lot.
Because when I looked, it came up Cassidy Ray and a beautiful photo of you. Cassidy Ray is best known for her role as Amy Rogers in the popular 1990 TV series. And you were apparently born in Tucson, Arizona.
I mean, I can be from Arizona if people need me to be from Arizona, but honestly, I wasn't even alive in 19.
Oh, thank God, that makes me feel old.
I know, it makes me feel old.
I remember the 90s.
So obviously that's not you, and I did a little bit more digging and found how amazing you are. So got a new fan in me.
Thank you for the extra little stalk. I appreciate it.
Cassidy Ray, if someone hadn't heard of you before, what is the one song you would say, okay, if you haven't listened to me before, go and listen to this song?
Such a hard choice, but I would say probably just because of how popular it is, One More Song. Purely because there's such a story behind it, and it's something that is so catchy that I think you find yourself saying it a lot more than what you realize. Instead of singing encore, I had literally a show, somebody going one more song, and it started the entire crowd chanting one more song. And I went home that night going, imagine if I wrote a song called One More Song. And then I was on a cruise ship for 30 days and they did it again. And they were like, one more song. And I was like, this is amazing. Stupidly, I said out loud, I wonder how many nights in a row you would want to chant for one more song, especially because I'm playing 4 hours a night, 6 nights a week. This is a lot of singing. And, we ended up getting to the 14th night and they're still chanting one more song. And I kind of got a little bit frustrated. I'm like, come on now. I've been playing for 4 hours minimum, 14 nights. And, 4 times 14 is math. And I'm not good at math, but I know that. And if you keep chanting for one more song, I'll write you a song called One More Song. And they chanted it again. And One More Song was kind of born, and it became this incredible moment where everybody is just focused on the pure joy of the night. And it's about having more of that pure joy. And rather than talking about the trucks and the dogs and the dirt, it's about that moment that people feel pure joy. And I haven't really heard a song like that. So I think that would be very much a representation of who I am. I try to be the pure joy and that to keep the party going. So yeah.
Did you start writing it there and then on stage, or did you go away? What's your songwriting process?
It's really eclectic depending on where I am. I call myself SpongeBob SquarePants in the sense absorb the world around me and everything that's going on, be it somebody else's relationship stories, be it my relationship stories. I kind of find myself drawn almost like a magnet to a keyboard or a piano or a guitar, and within about half an hour to an hour the song is very much fleshed out, whether I'm in the middle of performing and that would happen, of which cute little ditties have been written in front of hundreds of people because I'm just having a little bit of fun, or whether I'm kind of finding myself at the end of the show going back to my room and kind of like sneaking in the middle of the night in my pajamas throughout the cruise ship back to the piano to just finish a song, because I've had this thought and I can't sleep. So it's dependent on where I am, but it's very much, it comes together, the music and the lyrics at the same time, and it's based on so many things that have happened that I can go, okay, well, I may have fallen in love with that moment with that person that has just walked past me and I've gone, and then there's also that moment I've fallen out of love in this previous relationship. I use both to draw an experience. So very much SpongeBob SquarePants, to just like absorb and then just squeeze like a sponge.
Speaking of a well-known little ditty that most people know, Jolene, I fell in love with it, your Australian slang version. I'm sure everyone else will think it's hilarious. Do you mind singing just a little?
So people can sing it normally and you go, Jolene, 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 I'm begging of you, please don't take my man. It's very pretty because everybody knows it. You go, Jolene, 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 please don't take me, no, you can. And it's beautiful, but it is not Australian. And so I feel like we all sound very American when we do it. So if we were to sing it like Australian, you go, Jolene, 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 I'm begging of you, please don't take my mate. Jolene, 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 oi, please don't take him, even though you can. But it gets worse, because you go, your beauty is beyond compare. Flaming locks of ragged hair and ivory skin, eyes of emerald green.
Oh, I'm crying.
Soft like summer rain, voice is soft like a summer drought, and I cannot leave you, Jolene. And somebody once came up and they said, but Cassidy, that really isn't like as Australian as it can be. And I went, what do you mean? And they went, well, Jolene isn't really an Australian name. And I'm like, say no more. Gaza, 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 please don't take me away from Gaza or Gaza or Waza.
Oh my gosh, you've literally made me cry.
I know. You know why I love that so much is because I have a bit of an accent and no one understands me. I got really annoyed that I used to pinch my nose when someone would be like, I don't know what you're saying. I'd be like, rah, 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 rah. And they'd be like, oh yeah, I got it. I'm like, isn't that ridiculous that I have to pinch my nose for you to understand what I'm saying? Oh, that's so funny.
Oh.
I find the tonality so funny, and I honestly don't know. This wasn't a planned thing. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to do this and be Australian and everybody's going to laugh. I don't sit at home and go and write these comedic moments. It kind of just happened because I was at a show and my fans, these friends, the audience, they become very much a part of the show. They very much enter and they go, try and mix, Shazza and Jolene and Slim Shady together. And so I'll end up playing Slim Shady at the same time as singing Jolene. And it's this awesome moment that people then remember forever. And I'm like, this was just, another Wednesday night on a cruise ship or at a show. So I love getting to play that. It reminds me of that night. It was very fun.
I love that. And that's actually one of my earliest memories of country music is that song, is the Dolly Parton version of Jolene. But what's your earliest memory of music?
Oh, great question. Well, I think I mean, we've all grown up with you know, like the Wiggles or the kids' music, but I think my earliest like memory of really just sitting and appreciating music was driving in the car with my mum. You know, we'd have these long road trips and we'd still have those CDs. And when it finished, we'd take it out of CD and put it in another one. And we'd listen to Faith Hill and Taylor Swift and Delta Goodrum and all of these female empowerment artists that were just having the time of their lives singing these songs. We kind of just wind the windows down, sing at the top of our lungs if it's on a road trip, or she'd be driving us home from school, and bless her cotton socks, she knew that we were going to get loud, and so she'd pop a couple of Panadol just as like a preventative, because she knew she was going to have a headache. She'd wind those windows down, turn the volume up, and see who could sing loudest, and we'd blast anything we possibly could at the top of our lungs. And I think that's my earliest memory. It's just every song we could possibly listen to, we fell in love with. It was never just one genre or one artist to start with.
So when you were singing in the car, is that when you thought, oh, I want to do this when I get older?
Gosh, no, not in the slightest. Me becoming a musician was never like an active choice. My parents had this belief that if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, which is a lie, a complete and utter lie, because I work very hard, but I do love what I do. And so from like a very young age, they tried to open as many doors as possible. And the doors that I kind of kept just like running through happened to be music, whether it was playing the piano, whether it was participating as the lead in the school musical, to then joining the Australian Girls Choir, to writing my own songs, to performing my own songs. So I kind of never went, I'm going to make money from being a musician. It was all, I'm loving this. I'm going to keep loving this for as long as I possibly can. And, you know, I started studying music at Macquarie because A, I'd got an early entry into my university, and B, I don't know what else I would do. I don't find anything else as fun as this. So I studied, and random serendipitous moment, a friend of a friend on Facebook was interested in auditioning for Carnival Entertainment, which is their Carnival Cruise Line's actual entertainment agency. And I'd not auditioned anything since I was in the school musical. And I went, yeah, I'll give this a go. I'm not doing anything tomorrow. I'll just turn up tomorrow, which was the only 5 years that they were actually in Sydney at the time. And they offered me a job, and I kind of was like, well, I guess I'm a paid professional musician now.
You say that, and that is so shockingly similar to Anthony from the Wiggles, who showed up to do a university course because he had a crush on a girl who was doing that university course, and then look how crazy he's gone.
Right? Yeah. It's crazy when you kind of just end up following your heart and just following the joy. And it's something that my parents, as much as the lie is that you love what you do, I've followed it like religiously for as long as I possibly can, and I'm very grateful for the places that it's led me.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because I guess what you're doing now is someone's dream, going, oh my God, she's doing exactly what I want to do. Where does success start and end for you? At what point do you go, all right, well, I guess that's what success in the music industry looks like? Are you still in the dream world, or have you hit where you want it to be, or are you still on a trajectory to like a new different goal?
I want to click option E, all of them. I was actually in a conversation the other day with my mum. She's my best friend, and she comes with me to everything that she possibly can because she's forced to.
Someone's got to carry the guitar.
Yeah.
No, that's the easy thing. She can carry the piano. That is. She made me learn piano and not guitar. She suffers. Most lovingest way possible. No, but in all honesty, we were just having this conversation the other day, and I went, you know, I can put my hand on my heart, and you kind of like connect with yourself, and I go, it almost brings tears to my eyes, the things that I get to say that I've done, not just in life, but in this year alone, traveling to 3 states and performing to people who genuinely want to be there, having staff of venues go, we've never seen a crowd so loyal. They're singing all the songs, they're wearing all the merch, they're waiting just to take photos with you. There's more people at the VIP show than there is at general admissions, because we just can't get enough of you. We just need more time. You know, I'm walking in there ready to give them VIP boxes that I've made with love and really curated what I'm putting in each and every time, and they're walking in that they don't even take the box first. They come in for the hug and they go, gift for you. And I'm like, you're here. Like that, it just doesn't make sense. And I feel like that's a dream. So in answer to the many questions, yes, I've reached so many levels of success. And I kind of feel like being self-employed and being very much a musician is your CEO, you're wearing so many hats. It's kind of like running a marathon with no end in sight. Because when you go to a 9 to 5, you know, at the end of the day, my job finishes and I don't take the job home. And working for yourself and loving what you do, I start in the morning and I'm already thinking of ideas and I'm already thinking of things to post. And I'm finishing the night and I'm still making friendship bracelets that I can put in little moments, or I'm thinking of new merch ideas, or we're having a debrief of discussions, or I'm performing. My day never ends.
So you make every individual friendship bracelet
that I sell, that I give away. So most of them I make myself, but then I have this to add to my mini collection. But as running this marathon, there's no end in sight, and it can feel, where do I stop? Where do I end? What is the success? And I feel like there's just markers that you need to go, this was a successful moment. This was a successful tour, where I have people singing back at me. I have crowds filling up a room. I have people wanting me to come back. I have venues wanting me to come back. I feel like each of those is like a mini success. But there is so much more that I want to achieve, that I can look and I can go, okay, well, while I am living the dream, I'm not living the dream, which I think can be fair to say to everybody. I just happen to have such a blurred line in between work and personal life that there is no line. You know, people go, I can't wait till that holiday. And I go, well, my holiday is me performing and I get a day off. Does that count? Yeah. So I don't know. Yes, I've reached it, but no, I haven't.
Yeah. So, and you just touched on a holiday, and it's not really a holiday. It's a working holiday, and you're the one working through. Is that one of the sacrifices, I guess, that you have to make? What's the biggest thing you've had to sacrifice in what you do?
That's a really good question. I've never looked at it as a sacrifice. Like, I mean, I look at my calendar and I can say I do not have a free weekend until September currently. And that might be going because I've just made plans. Yeah. That's like me out on the road, whether they're flying me up to Airlie Beach, so I'll get Friday night performing, or whether I'm flying up to Darwin, or whether I'm going on a cruise ship. I've never looked at it as a sacrifice because I've always just had so much fun doing what I get to do. And especially from like cruise ships. I mean, you can say I was on a cruise ship, so I was one of my longest contracts was 72 days, and I worked 6 nights a week, 3 to 4 hours a night minimum. And the longest I've ever played one night without breaks, because I was naive and didn't realize I could take breaks, was 7.5 hours. And so I'm on a cruise ship. I've been fly around the world, hop on a cruise and fly the Turks and Caicos and sail every single day. And people have saved, you know, their entire year to go on this cruise, and I'm being paid. And I get to live like a guest. And then that night I get to have everybody around me clap for me around every 4 to 5 minutes and give me attention, which I didn't really have to work for. I just had to turn up. So you can say sacrifice, because I'm like, oh, well, I'm away from my family, and vocally, like, it was an incredible toll. But there wasn't really a sacrifice when I'm getting paid to fly around the world and play in places people have only ever dreamed of and never imagined. I think I'm very privileged to say that I've been paid to do what people saved their entire lives to do. But then again, there is no work personal balance in any sense. You know, go out on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I don't know what that is unless I'm performing.
Yeah. Sorry, this is a bit personal, but romantic relationships. I imagine you'd gain a lot of fans or friends, and
get a lot of phone numbers, definitely.
Yeah. So how do you wean out all the less desirables?
I mean, one of my relationships was 2.5 years, and another was on and off. Like, I knew him for 12 years and on and off for 6 years. So I mean, they definitely knew me before I was anything in performing or aware of that. Sometimes they're just friends. And honestly, that moment where a lot of relationships that I've been in have seen me performing and then had a tea, and legitimately just a tea, because they go, do you want a drink after it? And I'm like, I'm finished performing. I would like a tea. And that's what I do. Like, this is the person I am. I'm not that person that goes clubbing. And so they'd sit down and have a tea with me, and it's just becoming friends, and then more than friends, and then does it work? And yeah, honestly, my relationships have become a lot more about great songwriting stories.
That's so Taylor Swift of you.
Yeah. I was listening to one of the podcasts, doing a little bit of research, Fangirl. So I'm going to give them a plug. You were talking about the fangirl and fanboy moments that people who generally go on cruise ships, they may not know who you are before you start performing to them, right?
Yeah.
So, and then like over the course of the cruise, you get this real, I guess, commitment of fans, of real fans that learn the lyrics of your songs. And that's hard. I'm pretty sure you said that there's no service out at sea. So like to look up these lyrics of songs and to learn them by heart.
They're like, I've had people that have been sitting there on like a 5-day cruise. Day 1, they've met me. Day 2, they're asking for my songs again because they've heard them on day 1. Day 3, they've gone, okay, we really like these songs. We've been listening to them in our heads and we cannot get it out of our heads. I actually released a song at midnight on a cruise ship. And so I think everybody in the room got internet, and like one person bought it and like started sharing the code. Everybody got the internet and they all went and downloaded the song. And at midnight I was playing, and they like played the song as you go into midnight. And I'm like, that's such a cute idea. I'm going to do it. And then as we got to midnight, they're like, it's midnight. Here's your song. It's playing on our phone. We've already got it on Spotify. We're the first streamers. So I've gotten them not just to listen to lyrics, but got so into it that they're like, we're getting excited for release day.
Oh, I love that.
It's insane the amount of like, you just seem to have so many fans.
I'm very grateful for it. I think the coolest part is I love to be at the Taylor Swift level of like playing to stadiums. But I think the thing I'm most proud of is the loyalty of them. Like, I cannot just call them fans. And I feel really bad singing fangirl because I just want to be like, I understand that you're more than just a fan. Like, somebody's literally bought me this and they said, friends are the family you choose. And it's so true because I know so much about them and they know so much about me. There's not a separation between an artist and a fan. There's so much connection from the lives and from the stories of the songs and from the songs itself and the performances. They really are just so friendly, and they get so involved in the joy that I think I'm trying to create and the community and the space and place that I went. You can look on social media and there is death and destruction and fear and chaos. But you come to this little corner and this little pocket and it is just joy. And there may be heartbreak, and that's okay because we can acknowledge it. In that, you know, you're not alone, and then we can find the joy again. And it's trying to be like, not everything is sunshine and roses. It's things are bad, but we can just choose to be happy here, and we can be aware of that reality. And I think the loyalty to them screaming at the top of their lungs and creating their own little moments, that's, I think, what I pride myself the most on.
Yeah, and I've tuned into quite a few of your lives when you were doing the cruises, and it was like the highlight. And every time I saw you live, I was like, I'm going in. And it was just, you just called it out. You're like, no, that's not loud enough. Let's like do it again. And I just loved it. It was so interactive. It was so almost like singing with a friend. It is exactly what it was like. I absolutely loved it. Just speaking of cruises though, I wanted to know, so obviously you've got to take all of your gear and all of your stuff on. Music stuff aside, and equipment aside that you needed, if you could only take 3 things on a cruise, what would it be?
Oh, music aside, my bags are really empty. I think I would take tea because I it's a healthy addiction and I'm never going to quit. And just because while they have tea on board, it is not my favorite flavor of tea. And if I'm going to be comfortable, I'm going to take my tea, which it still counts in my one thing, is in a tea pot.
What's your flavor of tea? Tell everyone.
Currently, it's T2 New York breakfast.
Oh, yes. Have you had the Melbourne one?
Yes.
So my God.
So when I first, like, I had this whole story with tea. My mum had tea with me, and that's the only way she'd ever had tea. And I'm such a naive person that I went, my mum's way is the only way. And so I grew up lactose intolerant. I don't enjoy the taste of milk. And so you know, I got to a point where I was like, I think I was about 14, and I was like, I'm going to not have water. I'm going to try tea. And I'd pour this amount of tea and have this amount of milk and drink that much. So I was trying to do it, and I was trying to get in it. I'm like, I hate milk. I don't get what the fuss is. And I went on a Duke of Edinburgh experience in school, and my teacher watched me boil it over a Bunsen, boil this hot water, pour the tea in. I poured my English breakfast, and I've got my little jug of milk, and I poured the milk in. I've had a sip, and I've thrown it out. He's gone, what a waste for half an hour of you making this. I'm like, that's what people do, and that's all I can tolerate. And he's like, have you ever thought of not having it with milk? And I was like, what? I can do that? Like, I'd never even known I could research to do that. It blew my mind about how naive I was at that point. I just never questioned you could have it another way. And I've never gone back. I don't drink tea with milk. I don't with sugar. So I had this English breakfast, and I walked into T2 one day, and they went, oh, I'm like, I just want some English breakfast, I guess. And they're like, well, have you tried any other tea? And I was like, no, because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And they're like, well, how do you know you don't like it if you don't try it? And I was like, what a fascinating conversation. I'm going to dedicate an entire year to trying a different type of tea every week. And came across, I did it on a Sunday sit down. So doing my lives, I went, I might as well try this. I'm going to like have a tea every week. And, you know, I tried gunpowder tea, and that is disgusting. And I tried, you know, Melbourne breakfast, fell in love with it. And I was like, I'm officially a convert. I should always try things before I say I don't like them. And then I found New York breakfast, which is kind of just like a little bit more caramelly. Melbourne breakfast, straight up vanilla.
Yes.
Type of caramel in it. And I was like, ooh, I like both. Out of all of the teas, those are my top two teas. It's New York breakfast and Melbourne breakfast. I can swap.
Yes, because pre-COVID, T2 used to have a sample station, and you would be able to go in, and they used to mix some of the, I think it was like Turkish apple and something else, something rose, and they mixed it, and it sounds terrible, but they mix it together, and it was delicious. So like then I would be buying all the boxes, and they had the Melbourne and the New York breakfast, I think, when they released, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll give it a go. And I was like, oh my God, they've unlocked a new level. And I totally agree with you. Tea makes such a difference. I have had 3 kids, and every single time I have gone in to have my child, I have packed my own tea bags, because I figure if I have to be up through the night, I want a good cup of tea. Okay, so I'll let you have the teapot and the tea. What's your other 2?
I think I would have to take my phone, because evidently I'm going live constantly at all hours of the day. I don't think I can not take my phone to post. And I think the third thing would be a weird one. I'd actually take my bedazzling kit. So I don't know. I wear a lot of shirts about my song. And I've been in a bedazzling phase.
I love that you do that yourself.
Yes. That encourages them to do it for me.
I see what you're doing here.
You need to get them in mass production, those drink bottles. They're amazing.
Oh my God, right?
Really good. Love that.
It took her ages. It took her literally like a month to do, because those designs are crazy. I do one thing, and I think I make it so much fun that they just want to be a part of the fun in every possible way that they can, that they then do it as well. And, you know, I'll go, okay, guys, I've bedazzled something. And even here, they've taken this and they've bedazzled my entire song. And so bedazzling kit, because currently I'm in a bedazzling phase, and I'm trying to bedazzle an entire skirt, and I'm going to see how we go. But they do it just as much as I do. So this is like, it looks like my song and looks like I'm just completely up myself. But it's not. It's a fan gift.
I love it. I think it's great.
Right? And like the detail of every...
They're tiny.
I know. I love the diamond art. I'm doing the coasters at the moment. I just saw Cheers Y'all. Cheers Y'all. And I know Australians can't say it very well. So where were you when that hit number 1? Where were you? What were you doing?
What a great question. I was traveling up to Bundaberg to chat with my friends on Kicks FM at the time. And we were kind of just staying in a hotel, because I was living in Sydney at the time. And so we'd driven up. And we were looking out at Surfers Paradise. And we woke up at like midnight. And there were so many fans that had been messaging. They were all counting down as one of the biggest things that I'd ever done. It was the first kind of time that it had ever reached number one so quickly. We kind of messaged all each other, and it was midnight, and I think it was like pitch black, and I was looking out at the ocean, and I was like, oh my goodness, I just hit number one.
That's amazing. Jumping back to your bedazzling, I don't see that as particularly country. Is there something about you that doesn't fit the stereotypical country, other than, is it the bedazzling? Is that what you would say?
No, it's a lot of things. The thing I love most about country is the authenticity of it. I loved the fact that I could tell a story, and I could tell it from the heart, and I could use real instruments. And if people listened, it would feel as if I was in the room with you.
Mm-hmm.
From like sitting on your couch next to you to just being in your living room dancing with you. I always love that authentic feel of connecting heart to heart. And I thought the country was the best way to do it. And my stories are so storytelling. Even in One More Song, it is this moment, even if it is a second or 30 seconds of life, it is the story of that 30 seconds. And I think country is the best way to do it. But, you know, I love the feminine side. And I mean, you can argue country music is, you have that dirt, dust, and boots and trucks and dogs and breakups and country roads, but you also have these powerhouses like Lainey Wilson and Kelsey Ballerini and Taylor Swift and Maddie and Tay and Sarah Louise, and we're all kind of in our like feminine energy where we get to be girly and we get to talk about heartbreak and heartache and we get to talk about falling in love, and it's still country, and we get to talk about singing at the top of our lungs and having a good day night and good vibes. So I wouldn't say it's not country. I just say it's on the feminine side of country. It's very contemporary country, a little bit of popular stuff in there, and I think it's encouraging people to kind of just sparkle and be sparkling.
Yeah, and this is the thing, I guess, about country, is sometimes it can be seen as being quite safe. I remember when Taylor Swift first came out. That's how old I am. And I remember my sister had her eldest daughter, and she was allowed to listen to Taylor Swift because it wasn't provocative, it wasn't scandalous, it wasn't salacious. It was just a really great tune, great singing, beautiful lyrics. And she was like, she's going to be a role model for people. Like, people are going to flock to her because she's so, I guess, adaptive, and she's so easy for kids to listen to and sing along to, and you don't have to worry about who they are as a representation and what they're singing about. And I guess
she probably came out more pop though, right? I think they were marketing her as pop because they were a little bit afraid for the whole country side.
She was a bit country at the start, and then she moved into a bit of pop. When she first started, she was still quite country.
I'm I'm good friends with Rick Barker, who is the first former manager of Taylor Swift when she was releasing her debut. I'd driven around Nashville with him in his car, and he still has the actual original demo tapes of Taylor when she was first pitching to the record labels.
Wow.
And we were chatting, and it was never like a recording studio's decision to make her pop. It was always actually based on her. And you're right, I very much agree. She kind of paved the way for country music to be more accessible to a wider demographic, especially young girls like myself, not just because of what she was talking about and I found it relatable, but the way that she connected with fans. Like, I've seen artists that have gone on stage for their allotted 45 minutes, not been feeling it, and walked off in 15. And I've then heard stories of Taylor Swift for 13 hours doing a meet and greet because she liked the number 13, and she had 13 hours worth of fans that wanted to stop and meet her and greet her, and she hugged every single one. I found that such a role model, not just growing up, but for myself as a musician, to want to not just be that artist that everybody knows, but nobody really knows because they don't want you to. I always wanted to be that person that everybody went, she's a friend, I know her, I've gone through this journey with her, kind of like the Taylor Swift. But even start, you know, she was writing country because she was from Pennsylvania and then lived in Nashville, and then a lot of her music was influenced by what she was doing, and it became popular. That's how she evolved. It was never like, I'm going to be pop because I think I'll fit that market more. She just wanted to write, and that's what it fell into. And then it was about her exploring, and, you know, she put up with a lot of stuff, but she always remained the same, that person that wanted to connect with fans. It really did pave the way for musicians and artists like myself
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
and have received way less backlash for wanting to sparkle on stage.
What I want to know is, do you know somebody that knows Kevin Bacon? Because we've been doing 6 series of Kevin Bacon for a while now.
I love that so much. I mean, it depends. Like, I met Oprah, and Oprah would have met Kevin.
Of course.
So, sure. So that's 2 degrees. 2 degrees separation.
So how did you meet Oprah?
I was in the Australian Girls Choir, and Oprah Winfrey did a tour of Australia where she made the Opera House the Oprah House, and she asked the Australian Girls Choir to sing, and I got to be on the stage when Hugh Jackman and Nicole Kidman were there, and Russell Crowe, and we all got to sing I Still Call Australia Home, and together came into the dressing room to say good day, and she got to like meet us personally, so that was really cool.
That's cool. And the Pope in Rome, is that with the Australian Girls Choir as well?
Yeah, they get a lot of opportunities. Like, I was 15 and there was 3,500 girls in the Australian Girls Choir at that time, and we all auditioned and 40 girls were chosen, and I was one of 40, and we flew to Paris, Italy and Hong Kong, and I got to like go sing for the Pope in the Vatican. And I was like, yeah, I'm 15 and all my friends are like back at school studying for a math test, and I'm just like randomly singing for the Pope, and I don't know Italian. So, like,
I love that.
It's a lot of fun. I still find, like, I look back and I'm like, how did I not realize that was such a big moment? Because to me it was so normal. Because that year I'd also sung for Oprah. I was in year 12 and we'd sung for Ellen, and Ellen had literally like just touched down in Australia. I think it was like 2:00 in the morning. We'd gotten up and we'd filled the airport, and I've never seen it that like wall to wall. Like, we all looked like fish in a can. And we'd gotten to sing with her, and I think it was about 9:00 that it was just done, because she'd gotten off the airport and then she'd gotten into her car, and we were just there to greet her and meet her, with like thousands of other people just waiting to get a glimpse at her. And like, I was like this far away from her, and I was like, this is amazing. And then I got back to school.
Did you do a little Ellen dance?
Yep, we did the Ellen dance with her, and then 10:30 I was back at school, and I was like, how's everybody's morning? And they're like, great, we've been studying for the science test. What about you? And I'm like,
met Ellen.
I guess I did that.
Yeah, no biggie. You know, just rubbing shoulders with people.
So it was definitely like pinch me moments. I don't think I realized the enormity of those situations.
So meeting all those people, I'm curious to know. So we've had a bit of a duet with Nelly and Tim McGraw. I love that song. And I know that Taylor Swift and Ed Sheeran have had a bit of a duet. Who, other than Taylor Swift, because I feel like that would be number one, or like someone not country, who would there be someone that you would want to co-write a song and sing with?
I kind of want to see you with Eminem, considering you did like Slim Shady stuff.
That would be fun.
I mean, there's so many genres that I pick, but right, Taylor Swift would be my first. So if it's not Taylor Swift, I'm terrible at favorites. And so I think that there'd be multiple artists. It would be like Ed Sheeran, or there's this artist that I've been thoroughly enjoying listening to that's kind of everywhere, and there's 2 of them, but they're called Nick D and Connor Price, and they're rappers, and they're actually really interesting in the way that they approach music, which completely shifted my mindset on how to connect with fans. Like, I'm not just influenced by bigger artists, but influenced by everything that I'm seeing and witnessing. And Connor Price went viral on TikTok for doing this skit called Around the Globe, where he just spin the globe, pick a dot and find an artist and rap with them. But he's a family man, so he raps in a very accessible way to all people. It's not provocative. It's not in any way swearing, because he has a 2-year-old son and a 4-year-old son. And so I'd actually love to write and collaborate with Nick D and Connor Price. I think that would be really interesting and very not my genre. So to actually like bring them into a little bit more country and have that element of their genre would be fascinating to me. And Nick D, he inspired me in a way. He released a song every single week, so 52 songs. And artists, especially in today's society and in the way that I was brought up, were told, you release a song and 3 months later, maybe you start to think about releasing another song. And it's blasphemy if you think about doing it in 2 months, let alone 1 month, let alone a week apart. And Nick D was very focused on fans. He was like, these fans want these songs. I'm not, tied to any recording system. Why should I abide by their rules? If the fans want songs and the fans stream the songs, I'm just going to appeal to the fans. And I went, oh my goodness, I think I can do the same. I have enough songs. And I started last year and I released like 24 songs. And I think the year before I did 24 songs and released as many as I can. And this year has just been so far ridiculous. I've blinked and it is the end of February or something. That I haven't even had a second to breathe, let alone release. But we're going to get back into like releasing a lot. If I'm not attached to a recording label, why do I need to abide by their rules?
Yeah.
Like listening to the song and then 3 minutes later going, cool, what's next? Why not give them in 2 weeks down the track? And I did. So, yeah.
What do you think about AI now infiltrating everyone's life? And I know we could say, like, I watched a documentary on Netflix about Lucy Letby in the UK, and it was almost like it was a person who had been created by AI and it was spoken by AI. Now, what are your thoughts? Like, do you see it as a threat or a phase that I guess artists especially are just going to have to learn to work with?
I'm going to be really controversial here. I really like AI. I've not written a song with AI. I've not sung a song by AI. But I actually love AI. I find artificial intelligence being such an aid to an everyday situation and life. I kind of use it like Google nowadays. Searching things, I was like, but compare this to this. And I think AI has such potential to take over the world, which is why whenever I'm talking to AI, I always write please and thank yous, just in case it does.
I say please. I do please and thank you as well. And someone said that's using so much water to say please and thank you. I'm like, but what if it generates and then it comes back and it's like, you never said please.
Yeah. Red eyes, Terminator style.
Yeah.
Do I find it a threat to entertainment? In some ways, yes, because I feel like there's artists that would go, it's doing better than what I'm doing. I personally don't find it a threat, not to be like, I'm better than AI. It is purely what I'm trying to create isn't just about the music. And what
You've got the human emotion.
The emotion, and it's connecting heart to heart, and it is a human to a human interaction that goes, I understand your level. I think as much as an AI can write, you're doing really well, take a deep breath and like, let me write you a song. It's ultimately, it is AI. It is not that heart to heart connection. And I think a heart to heart connection and that vibrational energy of going, I'm with you and I'm sharing this joy with you and sharing my heart and this love and every bit of me that I can with you. I think there is something there that the AI just cannot replicate. So I find in the entertainment and the creative industries, as much as you can create a song and wow, that's awesome, I'm not just after creating the song, an artist, and I'm an entertainer that's curating an experience in a community that I want people to join.
Well, speaking of experience and human emotion, you wrote Ton of Bricks. Tell us about that and the backstory of that.
That was like dangerous. That was a lot of fun and surprisingly a song that I never thought I would release. It was purely this moment of empowerment. I was with my girlfriends and I was hearing these stories and I kind of just went, I just want to like fight for you and let you know that I'm on your side and let you know that you're not alone in the most powerful girl you got it way. and that story kind of poured out in this very gritty moment and kind of, well, if a boy came up, I'll show him what's what way. And
yeah.
That
was it written for a specific friend's boyfriend or was it just in general?
No, definitely for a friend's specific boyfriend.
That face says it all.
I've definitely played it for that friend's in front of her and then in front of her boyfriend and then definitely like sung it on stage, making sure that they were aware. Like there were a lot of like, this is for you sort of eyes. And girls can read each other's eyes of like a raise of an eyebrow, you know what a girl's talking about. And maybe the guy didn't get it. So I've definitely done it more than once in front of this guy. So it really message about the
Everyone
song.
needs a friend like you. Moira's that friend for me. She's fearless.
I love that. But very much like that. And that's what Ton of Bricks is. It is that very polite, cheeky threat. There's a lot of songs out there. There are like girls and boys falling in love, but it's not just about, this is my best friend. And I am here for my best friend at all stages. And relationships can come and go, and that sort of love can fall apart. But friends are there, and they are like as strong as a ton of bricks. And then, you know, if that in any way is affected, I will come down like a ton of bricks, and I love it.
I love that. When Emma asked you the question, like how that came about, you had a smile and your eyes went up, and it was like you were remembering almost the moment that you were writing and who you were talking about, and what you really wanted to say. I love that. And it's just interesting how moments in music and also movies, I guess, can spark like a really joyous and sometimes uncomfortable and sad memory. I'm really curious, what song do you hear that really triggers that emotion for you? You can pick a sad or a happy one.
All of them, in the most cliche way, all of these songs are my songs. So
not a you song, not a song that you've written.
I actually listened though that your favorite songs are your songs. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're it's like a memory. It's like flipping through a photo album that I get to go, this was a happy memory and this was a sad one, but then this was a happy one. All of my happy songs are amalgamated memories of like really good moments, like Cheers Y'all. It's every time I've ever raised my glass and had an entire room shout back, Cheers Y'all.
Yeah.
I still do this. Cheers y'all.
Yeah, as you should. The sad ones, like specific memories. But if we're talking about like a song that isn't my own that triggers a memory, I think the best one is a really good one is Wagon Wheel. And it's this cover song. So when I got on the cruise ships, I was Australian, as I am, and I was performing in like pubs and clubs around Australia. And I'm a person that keeps myself extremely occupied, that if I'm not performing, I'm usually at home writing music. And so the only time I would ever expose myself to a pub or a club, it would be when I'm playing music. So I learned how to play all of the Australian classics, the Down Under, the Horses, the What About Me's, that sort of songs, and the Delta Goodrums, and of course the Taylor Swifts and the Adeles, because I play piano. And again, I'm a very naive person, as we've learnt from the tea. That I was so naive, I went, well, I know the songs that I know. And I'd applied for Carnival Entertainment. I'd waited 3 hours for a 15-minute audition. And I played 3 choruses of a song, because they went, play as if you're playing to like this demographic, play to this demographic, play to this demographic. 15 minutes, and they offered me a job on the spot. And like years later, I was still working with them. So I did well. But they said, we're going to send you on a cruise in Florida. Please come knowing 200 songs. And very typically me, I went,
American,
like 250 songs. And I'm not talking like, give me an iPad and I'm going to read it. I'm talking, I know 250 songs that I can stop and entertain people with, because I've always wanted to be an entertainer, not just a musician that could read. And so I went over to the Carnival Sensation. That was my very first ship based out of Miami, Florida. And from like the minute I got on the ship, I was like a fish out of water. I got introduced into my bar, where I'd be playing for the next 72 days. And my manager said, welcome to your bar. This is where you're going to play. I'd not been in a piano bar before. And he said, there are books all around the room full of songs. Guests are going to request songs from those books. You're going to get them and you're going to play them. That's how this works. You sit down at 9 o'clock and you don't stand until the last person leaves the room. So that could be 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, or my longest, 7.5 hours. And I went, that's awesome. Love these book ideas. Question, when are we going to get books made up for the songs that I know how to play? He just laughed. And I don't understand you.
They play different music in the bars over there.
This is the book for the ship. You start tonight. Good luck. Have fun. See you later. And I flipped through this book, and legitimately, not a joke, not a exaggeration, I knew 3 songs from this book. And I went, I am so out of my depth. I need to learn as many songs as possible. And I said to guests, I went, look, if I know it, I'm going to play it, because yay, we found one. And if I don't, I promise you, I will spend my entire days learning. And that entire contract, I would sit and my day would be spent listening to song after song after song. trying to learn as many as I possibly could so that following night I could go, guess what, you requested Michael Jackson and I now know it, congratulations me. Or like, you requested Sweet Caroline, which is a song that everybody should know, but somehow I didn't. And I found as I was learning songs, because I was learning about 20 to 30 songs, and again, I didn't want to turn up at night and be the musician that could read and entertain iPad. I want to be the musician that entertained. So I needed to be listening to these songs so much that they're so ingrained that I could entertain the following night. And I found that there were 3 ways that I memorized a song. One would be the rote method, kind of like when you get in a car and you turn on the radio and you've heard the song so much, you know the lyrics, the title, but you know all the lyrics. That was one way. So somebody would come in and they're like, oh, can you play Crazy by Patsy Cline? I'm like, never heard Patsy Cline. Who on earth is that? And they're like, oh my goodness, you don't know Crazy. And I was like, oh, I know that. That I know. Because I know the lyrics. I don't know the person or the name. And so I'd learn songs quite quickly from that. The second way would be the 4-chord method. And that would be when a lot of these songs musically are based on the 4 chords. So you could kind of just end up playing a bunch of songs and you're like, oh, I know that because it just fits this chorus, and I'll just keep learning it. And the third and final way that I'd learn songs is making up moves, because when you make up moves, you remember the dance because you remember the words and you remember the dance, you remember the dance, you remember the moves. And there was a song called Wagon Wheel, and it's a country song, and I'm a country artist. I should have known this song. In fact, I was so naive that despite having played in Tamworth Country Music Festival, the biggest country music festival in Australia, for like 5 years prior, I'd somehow been so naive, I'd missed this song. I'd serendipitously not been as agitated by this song as all other country music artists who just groan when they hear this song is being played. In fact, I was so naive that in Tamworth, there was a bar where bartenders were sick of hearing the song. They would tally the amount of times a band would come in and play Wagon Wheel. And it throughout the festival. And I walked up and questioned why they were tallying the amount of times they'd sold the Wagon Wheel biscuit, and could I have one? I was hungry. Heading down south to the land of the pines, thumbing my way into like North Carolina, Rock Me Mama, Wind and Rain, Rock Me Mama, Southbound Train. And I'd made up enough moves that I convinced myself I've memorized this song. I'm ready to play it. And a lady that night came up and she was like, can you please play Wagon Wheel? It is like my favorite song ever. And I was so convinced and sure of myself that instead of going like, okay, I'll give it a go, it's my first time playing this, like giving her a good warning, if I don't know it, this is why, I was like so convinced. I was like, yes, I've got this, I'm on this, let's go. And I got to the chorus and lo and behold, forgot all the words, like complete mind blank. And I went,
did you have to do the actions?
Surely she would notice if while playing I stopped and I went, Southbound Train, and I was like, wrong. She noticed and she said, excuse me, what are you doing? And I had to be honest. I was like, there's no better excuse than the truth. And I'm like, I am a train. And she did. And the thing that's become the most like triggered memory is that this story and this idea of being stupid and being just honestly, I'm very naive and I was a train on stage, has become such an ingrained part of my identity and my community that at every single show when I play Wagon Wheel, which is nearly every single show, I do this move to remind me of my very humble and stupid beginnings. But because we're all friends in the room, friends don't let friends do stupid things alone. And so the amount of memories, like I think last year I had 170 shows last year. And so Wagon Wheel is guaranteed to play at least one time. Everybody in the room, without fail, has to do the move. And if they don't do this one move, I will stop the song, point them out, and start the song again.
I have seen you do that on the live. I loved it.
23 and a half minutes is like the longest recorded time I've played a 3-minute song. But like I have of people getting so into it that they've made a conga line train around the room. They're doing this. And they'll like start it. People stand up and get fully into it. People who have never heard Wagon Wheel don't call it Wagon Wheel. They call it Southbound Train song. And like people who have not heard it, you know, I give them fair warning. I'm like, it's coming up. Are you ready? Like, because some people are really drunk and they'll do this. I'm like, that's not a train. That's running. And you get the whole train and get traumatized. And it's no longer, you know, PTSD, because it's not post-traumatic stress disorder, it's PTTD, post-traumatic strain disorder. It's about like 7 times every night for the past 5 nights.
RSI.
Yeah, rotator cuffs going.
Yeah. The amount of that I have that are triggered from that moment of people, you know, running around a room like a train, or getting other people like nudging them, or like jobbing their friend because they've only done it with one arm because they're holding a baby in the other, and that shouldn't be an excuse. I think that is not my own song, the most triggered song I've ever done, followed only closely by like Piano Man.
Yeah.
Mm.
Is that the best thing about music?
The memories or the people? Yes, 100%. Those moments where people are no longer concerned by the objections and opinions of strangers around them. They can be authentically themselves, having a good time in a room. I think that is the best thing as a musician that I can create. A moment where they've chosen not to be watching the TV, where they've chosen to just sing at the top of their lungs. I wrote into a song called Good Day, I scream at the top of my lungs, and randomly said on a live, I'm surprised nobody actually screams in it, because I'm saying you scream at the top of your lungs. And they started it so much that at my shows they scream at the top of their lungs without care of any other stranger in the room having a nice night that has no idea what they're in for. You know, they'll just scream or they'll join in. And that to me is the peak of success. If I've created where everybody can go, I'm a male and I'm in my buff era, and, you know, I'm not meant to be singing girly songs, but I'm going to sit there and you bet your bottom dollar I'm going to move myself like a train. I think that's absolutely amazing. You know, they actually ended up making this shirt. I have to show you, because just on my tour, they ended up making a shirt like Taylor Swift.
Oh, I love that.
And that looks sparkly too. Is it sparkly?
Bottom dollar, it's sparkly. They gave it to me because they were all wearing them themselves when they screamed.
Oh,
I love that.
It doesn't matter what we wear, because no matter what, we are welcome in here, and this is a space and place where we get to just have pure joy, whether we know the words or whether we're making them up. Southbound Train the Way.
You're such an interactive artist, really, isn't it? And there's not a lot of people that can do successfully what you do.
Yes.
And I always thought I could be a fluffer, you know, that person that goes around and like, come on, yeah, here comes Cassidy Ray. Ooh, let's I could be that person for you. But how do you read a room? Like, how do you just stop the song and say, we're not singing until you do the train? Like, what's your thing? How do you read a room?
What an interesting question. Psychologically, I love this, because from the get-go of being on a cruise ship, it was, if you look at it from a cruise ship's perspective, they're not having musicians to entertain a crowd. They're having musicians to keep bar sales going. And so I very early on that my goal wasn't to entertain people with music. My goal was to get them to drink and to get them to stay and drink. And if they didn't enjoy the music, they wouldn't stay and drink. They'd have a drink and leave, or they just would leave. They wouldn't even buy a drink. And I ended up becoming the top female piano bar entertainer in all of cruise lines because of that, because I understood it, and because I started on cruise lines playing this game with myself of how can I keep them to stay? How do I get their attention through playing a 4-minute song and keep them wanting to stay for the entire length of their drink, and then get another drink, and then get another drink? And I think it's not like I read the room in a very specific way. It's very much, I think I know how to keep people's attention. And I've found a bunch of different songs that have become stories. Like playing Wagon Wheel is actually a 30-minute endeavor before we even get to the song. And it's keeping people attentive enough to hear the story, to be invested enough to be stupid and be a train with me for just a 4-minute moment. So I don't really know thank you for noticing. I'm very much a person of how can I keep people's attention. There's not really one specific way that I'm like, oh, I see this or I notice this, and then I need to therefore do this. Like, it's not a math equation. But at the same time, with performing the amount that I've performed, I also realize the lines that I can cross. Like, I know if a room is just wanting to sit back and chill, I'm not going to be like, I'm going to stop playing so participate in my thing and give me more attention. It's very much you read the emotional energy of the room, because I've also had moments where I've had strangers walk in, not know what to expect, and it's very much you're the leader of the circus. And it's like, okay, we're all going to applaud right now. Ready, set, applaud. Okay, we're all going to be wowed at this moment. Ready, 3, 2, 1, be wowed. So you're very much leading people on this journey of like a roller coaster of emotions. And from the minute they step into the room, it is this roller coaster. At whatever point you join on, you're joining at that level of emotion, and I'm going to keep leading you. I think I've realized, okay, if I'm in a room and I'm leading people and I've gotten them on such a high and they're singing along and they want to sing Piano Man, and I've got them to such a point that I'm like, you can sing at the top of your lungs, you know the words, they're making them up, and everybody's like, it's 9:00 on a Saturday. I'll have enough momentum and joy for them to be like, no, you're drunk. Today is Monday. Let's try it again.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
Oh, so much fun. It's one of the things that's actually made me go, people are just online arguing, going, but it is Saturday. And I'm like, but it's Monday. I know when to cross the line of like, okay, let me be a little bit cheeky and tell you what to do. But because I am the leader of this emotional roller coaster that you are voluntarily walking into, I'm allowed to have that level of cheekiness to be like, oh, we're not going there, we're going this way. Like, oh, don't think you're going this way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that's a really good way to describe it. I've not thought about having to vocalize that. It's like leading everybody on an emotional roller coaster. We're not going this way, we're going this way. Oh, it's not Monday, it's Saturday.
I wanted to go on a cruise just to see you play. I said to Emma, I've lived her so much that I want to go on a cruise because it looks like so much fun. It is the entertainment factor that you bring, and you're interactive and you're friendly and you're fun and engaging. I absolutely loved it.
We've just been sitting and chatting.
And I've just realized that you didn't sing any of your songs.
Cheers Y'all is such a good song. It's a song, surprisingly, when I was about to release it, I was with my team at the time, and there was a person that said, I don't think you should release this song. I think this will be the worst mistake you've ever made in your life, because nobody will sing this song, and I don't support this decision. Because he went, nobody in Australia says y'all. This isn't, while it's a fine song. And I wrote it because of my first ever contract when I went over and I was learning Wagon Wheel in the most ridiculous, stupid southbound train way. I would finish a drink, and because I drink so much tea and so much water, I'd just be like, oh, between every song I do this. And some American went, cheers, y'all. And I went, that's so fun. I'm going to start saying that. Cheers. So I got on the ship and I was like, g'day, mum and dad, how you going? And I got off the ship going, hey, mom, hey, dad, how y'all doing? Y'all so much it became quite habitual that my parents I'd come back and they'd be like, pick an accent. And like I said, y'all, it became so habitual. I was writing songs about moments, and I've had these moments where every single night for hours on end, people would just shout cheers y'all at me. And it was this moment of just pure joy and pure fun. And so I went, I'm going to write a song based on saying cheers y'all. And so when I'd released it and when I recorded it, this is 100%, nobody has touched this song. This is, as I wrote it with my producer, I went, this is how I want it to be. This is the song. These are the lyrics. This is what I want to happen at this point and at this point and at this point. And I need everybody to say y'all, and I need everybody to shout it back. And it was a very much call and response. I had autonomy over this. And I went to this team member and I went, I want to do this. And they went, we will not support you on this decision. This is the wrong choice to make. Nobody's going to say y'all. And I went, I'm going to do it anyway. I believe so much in this song. It was the first song from his team that actually reached Fresh Country on Spotify, which is a major Spotify playlist. It was the first song that I ever had that went #1. And then what I decided to do with my mum is we got in our car and we went on a road trip to all 4 states. So we went to South Australia, Victoria, New South Wales, Australian Capital Territory, and Queensland. And we found every single radio host that would have me on. And I would play this song and I would get up to this chorus where I'd go, when I say cheers, we say
y'all.
Cheers, y'all.
I'd wait until they'd say cheers, y'all. So then I had a radio host that all said y'all, because radio is the gateway to the Australian market. And I sent it all back to this team member and I went, nobody would say y'all. Well, now I've gotten every single to approve of to say y'all. I guess it's a thing now. And then I just And I got to the point that we even got at the CMA Awards were happening. And I was on Twitter one night with my mum, and we were just like tweeting out things. And we'd gotten Thomas Rhett on an interview to say, he'd read my tweet and said, can you raise a glass to this Cheers Y'all movement? And he actually got on CMA and he went, well, I'm drinking water, so cheers, y'all. And I was like, I got CMA on Thomas Rhett to say cheers, y'all. I got all the Australian radio to say cheers, y'all. It's a thing. So
isn't it funny when people like know who you are or watch you, and then they do something that you do or repeat something that you've done, and you go, people know who I am.
Oh my amount of people that have come up to me and just gone like howdy, and like winked because they've heard me play howdy, or they've gone cheers y'all, and I'm like, you know, and they're like, we know.
Yeah. Well, you know what, I like that because it gets everyone going. But how about you sing your favorite, because you said your songs are your favorite, so sing your absolute favorite.
I like Cheers Y'all, so I'm going to sing it because it's one of my favorites. So we'll do that. Here's to the good times rolling on. Here's to the love that's come and gone. Raise your glass and I say cheers. We say
cheers, y'all.
Here's to love and laughter. Here's happy ever after. On and on when I say cheers. We say
cheers, y'all.
Every hour is happy here, no regrets, life at its best. Drink it down now, let go of the stress, feel the atmosphere. Good vibes only when we say cheers, cause we are the lucky ones, and to think the best is yet to come. So cheers to the good times rolling on, cheers to the love that's come and gone. Raise your glass when I say cheers, you say cheers, y'all. Cheers to the love and laughter, cheers to the happy ever after. Wanna know when I say cheers, you say cheers, y'all.
It's so much fun to like relive these moments and get to people, because honestly, while I'm proud of my music, I'm most proud of my fans. I just get so excited about them and how creative they are and how loving and supportive they are. I feel like I have the best fans. I feel like I have better fans than Taylor Swift, but I'm happy to start that and for her to happily invite me on stage and for me to present my fans to her. That would be awesome.
From singing before she could talk to building a global pop country career, Cassidy Ray is proof that Aussie talent can take on the world. From the Australian Girls Choir to Nashville writers' rooms, #1 hits like Cheers Y'all, and performing for Barack Obama, Oprah Winfrey, and Ellen DeGeneres. She's done it all with heart, grit, and a whole lot of talent. If you want to join the Cheers Y'all or the Y'all campaign, you can find Cassidy Ray at www.cassidy-ray.com. She's on Instagram, TikTok at Cassidy Ray Music, and she's also on Facebook. Please go play her streams on Spotify and Apple Music.
You know what? If you want to help an artist and you don't have the funds to help an artist, but you have Spotify, you know what you can do? You can just press play on Spotify and press repeat. Like, we have a playlist that you can listen to. You don't have to be listening to it. You can just turn up the volume and turn down the volume, and there I am, never alone. Problem solved. Supporting an artist for free.
100%.
Search Cassidy-Ray. Go stream her music, share it with all your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to us, like and comment. You can catch us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and over on YouTube. We'll see you next time on What She Said. Thank you, Cassidy Ray, for joining us.
For having
Bye.